Welcome everybody once again to a Safe Place podcast, and here I am joined this week with my anchor man and newly qualified life coach, Mr. Craig Powell. Welcome, Craig.
Thank you. I'm glad you said anchor.
Not wanker. All right then, go for it. What you got for us in the headlines this week then?
So we picked up a couple of papers and
we paid for them first though, didn't we? That's important. We've got to express that. We paid for them. We're not common petty thugs.
We didn't rob them. So the first big headlines that I've managed to cut out is a lot of celebs. Liam Gallagher, Vernon Kay, Sally from Coronation Street, if you're a Covey fan.
As you can tell, Craig, when he said cut them out, didn't actually cut them out of a pair of scissors. He ripped them out of his teeth. There you go. That's his lovely artwork there with the headlines. He was great at cutting and pasting at school.
So my argument or debate of logic and truth of all the emotional pain that I've been through is, why do you care about what a celeb does?
And what's his story then?
So Vernon's on about he's going to make sure that his kids earn cash, not just have a celebrity lifestyle like he did. So he's learnt a lesson that he wants his children to graft for a living. So he's going to, it's a shame he's going to pass that on down to his child.
So what was the question? Why is it that we have any interest?
Bob down the road is doing the same thing. He's going to make sure his kid's not going to be a builder. He's going to do something else for a living. Now, we don't care about Bob. However, we care about Vernon Kay. What did Vernon Kay bring to the world?
The sad thing is, I don't think many people do care about Vernon Kay, and the thing is, he's in the newspaper, so there must be an appetite for Vernon Kay news.
There's a massive headline on Vernon Kay, on Sally from Coronation Street, and these people talk...
What's the one about Sally from Coronation Street?
That Coronation Street helped her a lot through her treatment of cancer, having something to concentrate, and she wants to retire and work another 30 years on the set, which is beautiful for her to be in this thing that lots of people like. However, my point is, why are you talking about this in the pub, at the cafe, going shops with your friends? When they come round, why do you say, did you hear about Vernon Kay? Why? Who cares?
Well, obviously there's people out there that do care because there's a newspaper with the appetite for it, but why do we care? I suppose people care because they put celebrity on a status above themselves, don't they? So it's something always they're looking to unconsciously aspire to.
And are they working on goals every day to aspire to that thingy? No, they're not. They're just talking about these people. And you know what I've always found sad, Andrew?
What, Craig?
If you go up to somebody and ask for their autograph, I've always found that quite a sad human act, to ask another human being like he's above you.
You're just goddamn jealous, you big boy.
I want that fame.
You're just goddamn jealous. Ask yourself the question, why you don't like it. Yeah, why it annoys you. Because you're not on that pedestal yet, my friend.
Why should they be spoken about as if they're anything better?
Yeah.
I think that if somebody with a tinsy bits of talent came down the road, we could say, oh my God, he's got talent. But half of these celebs have got no talent.
No, they can't come out with words like tinsy bints off the top of the hat like that. And that's pure
words
genius, that is. Goddamn beautiful. Right, move on to the next headline.
So the celeb thing's just garbage to me. Utter tripe.
Yeah, thank you for that very balanced spiritual perspective from Craig over there.
Just talk about something that's worthwhile.
Next headlines, for God's sake.
Mary Berry, terrible name, the famous British cook. Now, she's got a headline right next to a big cow, right? Now, this brings me on to another thing.
What's Vanessa Sykes doing, standing there with Mary Berry? A cow.
That's an old work colleague who will get the humour.
Right. Anyway, go on. So she's standing next to this cow, yeah.
Right, and it's talking about the British Bake Off. Now, my horrible eyes, unfortunately, see that we eat that cow, this lovely animal that's alive. Yeah. This brings me on to this subject. Why do we continue to eat animals? We slaughter them and we eat them and we enjoy that fact.
Tastes good though, doesn't it? And that's the hard thing. It tastes good. You've asked the question, why do we carry on eating? In other words, you are involving yourself in that question. Why do you eat animals for, Craig? Tell me why.
Well, if I was a leader of a satanic cult, I could say a baby's blood tastes nice and I could accept that behaviour is something that I like.
That's the headlines right there, ladies and gentlemen. Move on to the next newspaper story.
that actually is that.
Go on.
It's a picture of me.
Beautiful. Move on now.
However, stop eating animals now. We
We've
don't need
back
to.
there.
We don't need to.
Place. No, we don't need to, but they taste good and they're bloody well cheap,
Well,
mate.
here we've got a beautiful picture of a panda. Pandas are cute. You probably wouldn't eat a panda, would you? But you could eat a cow because it's not as cute. Mm. Now, this panda has got to the record old age of 22.
Okay, now how long do pandas live for then?
Now, my argument with this one...
Answer the bloody question. You don't know. That's why he's moving on. Swiftly moving on to his opinion. So this panda's at the ripe old age of 22 years of human years. Do pandas have panda years like dogs?
Yeah,
you ever thought about that?
They must do, mustn't they?
Yeah.
22 years is no life.
Yeah, maybe 22 panda years is probably about 6,000 human years. Maybe pandas live for at least 6,000 years.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
The reason I bring that up is another theory in life that I've got. We shouldn't go to a zoo and look at a panda through a screen. Another completely hideous act of mankind.
It would seem that way, and unfortunately, there's another hideous act of mankind, and it's basically breaking down all of the ecosystem and rainforest to the point where wild animals are becoming endangered or is extinct. And now they're having to go to zoo animals to try and preserve genes in a sense. So even though it is a horrible thing, it's also hopefully going to save certain amounts of animals from becoming extinct. So there's always a flip side to something. But rightly said, if you or man didn't destroy things the way man does, we could happily relegate these zoo animals back into the wild where they'd live a healthy life. But you've come in here very, very sentimental today, haven't you?
So my point is, we go and watch a panda through a screen and say, look at that stupid, dopey animal. And if you just look a little bit closer in the reflection, you're talking about yourself, chap.
Yeah, that's a great metaphor. Yeah, we should create that image of a man looking through a zoo glass, staring at an animal, thinking it's stupid
Eating
and
a
it can
bag
be
of
controlled.
crisps.
That's it. While he's completely unconscious of his mug in the glass back at him like that.
Have you heard about Vernon Kay?
Yeah, Sally staying on in Corrie. Oh my
look,
lord!
he's scratching his bum. He's scratching
stupid animal. Go on, the next headlines, mate.
So this one, now we get serious, and all the serious, horrible stories that we don't want to even look at are very small.
Yeah,
they really just fit them in, so you almost like you hopefully don't spot them.
Okay.
This one's about PC Harper, the travellers that somehow attached this chap to the back of their van, pulled him around country roads and killed a police officer.
Yeah, and they've been charged and sentenced, haven't they?
They have, but they've had to me, who doesn't know anything about the justice system, I would say it was murder, but apparently they've got a lighter sentence, manslaughter, so they get less time.
Yeah.
When I first looked at this, I was horrified because they said they were laughing in court.
What type of legal technicality has their solicitor worked at to try and get that charge reduced from a murder to a manslaughter? What type of crazy world is it that you can't even get simple, common sense justice carried out? These people should be banged up, never have any resources in place to try and write a book unless it was a book of a complete apology, and the donations and money that was spent and generated from the sales of that book went to helping fund the police force or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What a shocker.
Well, I think we've glorified murder and murderers in the past, haven't we?
Yeah.
I mean, look at who's that chap that they made a film on with Zac Efron?
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Ted Bundy, wasn't he?
Ted Bundy.
Ted Bundy.
That very posh version of Ted. It was the BAFTA's release of Ted Bundy. Go on then, anyway.
So the next one we've got, this will fuel some fires. This is one that you should be passionate about rather than the celebs. There's fury that £10 million is being spent to keep a terrorist safe in prison. Now, unfortunately, somebody has to fund
How much money?
£10 million for the extra protection that he gets inside prison. Because
What about spending £10 million extra on the defence budget and protecting us better from terrorists?
terrorists?
Yeah.
People called terror.
And we're protecting people that are in prison, and they've put themselves in that difficult environment, unfortunately, with the wrong decisions that they've made.
Well, we see the life balance is all wrong again, isn't it? Unfortunately, the compensation for each one of his victims was £28,000, all right? Now, he gets 10 million to look after him. It just makes no sense, does it?
No, it's crazy.
You wonder why people want to speak about Vernon, don't you? When you got stuff like that going on, it's like,
true, yeah.
Let's block out real stories and reality because it's really messed up, and let's focus on the stuff that doesn't feel that bad.
Yeah.
Now, one that I've rallied for before, this one's a certain journalist who just speaks for himself and has this opinion. Why don't we teach kids how to take care of cash? So I think this is a good story because when I went to school, I didn't know anything about a credit score. I didn't know how to handle cash. All I learnt was something from my parent, which wasn't very helpful or handy.
Yeah, it's a great point. There should be an education in schools to help kids understand the basics or the foundations of finances, shouldn't there? And obviously, hopefully then you'd be able to, as a result of that, and a generation of kids being educated in that manner, there would be less debt built up within the economy. People will be able to look after the finances so much better. And we also, talking about the mental health side of the podcast, it's the idea that a lot of these debts that people get themselves in create that much anxiety and depression inside of people. A lot of people have gone into distress and had even more time off work and cost the economy even more to generate money for mental health issues. And even further down the line, we know that many people have killed themselves over getting themselves into financial debt. So it makes absolute sense, both economically, socially, culturally, and for the well-being of the individual primarily, to create an education system that involves how to manage your finances correctly.
Yeah. It's a reason why relationships end is because financial difficulties.
One of them, yeah.
It can be an argument. It can be a lot of stress. We're not saying...
So when are you going to do it, government? When are you going to wake up and start sorting out the education system properly? It just does my head in. Teach kids about their minds. Teach kids about their bodies. Teach kids about philosophies.
Let's pretend that they know that they should. We have discovered that we think that we should do this. Now, These people, why wouldn't they do that?
Because they only care about the money and the fame and the significance that goes in their own back pocket from it all.
Do you believe that they do not put psychology and knowledge about money and knowledge about wealth into schools and children's minds to keep us a slave to what they want?
Well, maybe so, yeah. We're a lot easier to manage the dumber we are, aren't we? Because we act on impulses then and emotions. And once you understand impulses and emotions, you can direct certain environmental changes that create certain behaviours as a result of that. You can control people, basically, can't you?
Yeah.
Simple as said as that. Whereas if you learn about your emotions, your behaviours, your thoughts, your feelings, you're less likely to act impulsively and more strategically and logically. And as a result of that, are more difficult to control.
There's a story, isn't there, about, I think it was Stalin, who, to teach how to control humans, he would rip the feathers off a chicken and make the animal bloody and basically torture this chicken and then feed it and show how the chicken still came to him for food. And he said that was a metaphor for how you basically trick and train a human being to doing what you want.
Yeah. And again, well, here we are at the twilight stage of the weekly headlines, Craig. And is there any final thoughts you want to give, basically what you've digested from the weekly tabloids?
Well, personally, I made an oath and a choice many years ago to concentrate conversations on relevant information. Now, for me, a 10-minute conversation based on someone else's feelings and somebody else's physical health and mental health and how they feel inside is far better than a 10-minute conversation on a football match or celebrity.
And my ending to this is be very aware that Tina, who's very interested in Sally from Coronation Street, our conversation isn't relevant to her. And sadly, that's where the problems lie. Take care, everybody.